Welcome. Today is January 7th, 2026. The time is now 3 p.m. Welcome to the first work session of the new year. So we have quite a few responses to the December 17th visitor comments. The first one we have was relation to the city council meeting minutes. At the December 17th council work session, a citizen commented that the minutes of the last council meeting were pretty good, but referenced a couple items that he felt were missing details. As a reminder, the Department of Justice, Attorney General's Public Records and Meetings Manual confirms that meeting minutes need not to be verbatim transcript. The minutes or recording must contain information and must give a true reflection of the matters discussed at the meeting and views of the participants. If a person believes that minutes do not provide a true reflection of the matters discussed, they can contact Lisa Scholl, Deputy City Recorder at Lisa Scholl at St. Helens, Oregon, .gov to notify her specifically of what aspect of the meeting minutes do not provide a true reflection. This particular citizen also questioned whether or not YouTube closed captioning transcript would be legally binding in court. The YouTube closed captioning transcript is useful for accessibility, but it's not always accurate and may have errors. The city does not use the YouTube's closed captioning transcript service to generate its meeting minutes, but instead uses different transcription service and manually edits and corrects the minutes before publishing them. Those who use the YouTube closed captioning transcript must be prepared to anticipate possible errors. Number 2, release of the unredacted band report. At the December 3rd council meeting, as well as the previous meetings, a citizen commented that Mayor Massey is withholding the release of unredacted band report. On December 17th, Mayor Massey read the following statement to the record. I wanted to address a repetitive public comment that is not factually accurate regarding the release of the redacted band report and supplemental report. To be clear and on the record, I'm personally not withholding, suppressing, or preventing the release of either of the referenced reports. The city takes transparency seriously and also has a legal obligation to protect information that is confidential under applicable law. The reports referenced are presently associated with active litigation. Because of that, they are subject to attorney-client privilege, attorney work product protections, and the public record law exceptions. When those protections apply, the city has a duty not to disclose the materials until the legal basis for withholding no longer exists. Number 3, tram gas comment. During the work session presentation by the city's contracted event management company on December 17th, there was information provided about the city's tram that it holds only around 3 gallons of gas. A citizen later commented at the regular session that it actually holds at least 10 gallons. Upon verification with Public Works, the city's tram holds 12 to 14 gallons of gas, depending on the baffles inside. Number 4, tourism contributions. At the December 17th council work session, a citizen commented that there was a $300,000 error in the budget related to tourism contributions to be transferred to the city's general fund. These statements are not accurate reflections of the fact or history, which is provided below. At the May 15, 2025 Budget Committee meeting, Budget Committee member Steve Toski proposed to modify the $100,000 line item for tourism revenue to a proposed $300,000 line item for tourism revenue. The rationale provided by Mr. Toski was that the change would notify the contractor the city expected the events to be more profitable. The Budget Committee discussed wanting to see better return on investment from events from the spirit of Halloween Town to contribute more to the general fund to alleviate budget stress through increased revenue. At that time of the discussion, the city's finance director explained that the staff projected a tourism ending fund balance after expenses of $106,000 for the next budget cycle, and that the staff budget conservatively so that money does not have to be borrowed from somewhere else if revenues are not realized. City staff did not believe $300,000 of revenue was realistic. However, it was the amount proved by the committee. Since the budget's adoption, the city staff have continued to make conservative financial decisions, anticipating that $100,000 of tourism revenue would be realized, not $300,000. All right, so with that, we will move over into visitor comment. Now is the time for visitor comment. The visitor comment period is an essential part of local government meetings. Please address your comments to the mayor and council members. The city council will take all input into consideration. Please limit your share to 3 minutes or less. In observance for Oregon open meeting laws, this isn't the time for dialogue, but rather a time for us to listen to you. Responses to visitors' comments, if needed, will be published in the next city council regular session packet. Please provide contact information on the sign and sheet back of the room in case staff needs to get a hold of you for clarification. When you come up, please state your name for the record. And with that, we'll take the first public comment.
Nancy Whitney.
Sir, what's your last name?
Whitney, WHITNEY. I hope you all had a good New Year's. We didn't in our neighborhood. For some information, under the Oregon State Fireworks Law, Statute 480-110, these devices are defined as being devices that do not explode, do not leave the ground, and do not travel more than 12 feet horizontally. I also looked up the federal legality of M80s, and it says M80s are illegal under federal law for consumer use. The prohibition of M80s is due to their inherent danger and explosive power, which far exceeds limits for consumer fireworks. Now, let me tell you about our New Year's Eve. Started about 8 o'clock, fireworks going off, rockets sailing over top of the trees. And then the big boys came in about 8:30 or 9. The M80s were going off to the point where they were vibrating the windows in our home. So I did the first thing I thought of, and was to call the non-emergency number, which it says I'm supposed to do here. And about 2 hours later, I got a call back from a police officer who said, apologized, but said that he had only 2 people on duty that night. And I thought that was odd for something that was going to happen, that we knew happens on the 4th of July. So then when he told me that, then I tried to call Mayor Massey's number. And what I got then was voicemail not set up yet, not accepting calls. So then I thought the third one would be to call the sheriff's office, because I'm not kidding. These things were vibrating the homes. And what I got from the sheriff's office was an apology, but they said unless they heard from someone from the city to ask for extra or additional help, they could not provide that help. So that seemed okay. I couldn't get hold of the mayor. And I couldn't get any help from the sheriff's office. And the policemen were overrun. What were you people thinking with 2 officers on duty on New Year's Eve? I mean, it's senseless. We need help. I'm 86 years old and I am flipping sick of putting up with this stuff.
Next comment.
Adam St. Pierre. Well, you stole my thunder. I actually made a little video with the false statements made by Brady Preheim last week, and I actually had it cut in with the video of Gloria actually making the statement about the budget, where it was actually Steve Toshke who, recommended those recommendations. And at the end of it, Gloria actually said, I think if you do that, you will handicap our contractor. I will put all those videos up on, Facebook on our transparency and accountability page. But, what we come down to now is credibility. We've heard the statements made by a gentleman, and, I've always said before, sometimes it's better to not, take your 3 minutes and actually do a little bit of research. And, something I learned in the military is, people sometimes think you're an idiot. Sometimes it's better not to speak and prove it. So the thing now is, let's see if Mr. Preheim has, enough gumption to come up here and admit that he got his misinformation, because I've been told many, many, many a times that he's not a liar. So either he had misinformation or he's a liar. So at this point, I think it's only proper that he comes up and apologizes to the mayor, but more importantly, he apologizes to Gloria for falsely accusing her. So, accountability is kind of important, and, so is, your character and your credibility, but then again, I'm sure you guys probably didn't do the homework when Brady said to go back and watch it because we know what his credibility is and you probably remember what the truth was anyway. So, thank you.
Brady Freeheim. So, first of all, probably would have had enough cops if you got the $300,000 out of tourism that you were supposed to. And while it is true that Steve Toskey and Jennifer Gilbert actually first brought up the issue of getting $300,000 out of tourism, the person who actually made the change and increased the revenue was in fact your finance director. She was the one that came up with that solution. So you can spin it all you want and make up whatever lies you want, but I was there, I watched the video. She's the one that on the budget changed the amount and said, we're going to just increase the revenue to 1.5 million and get $300,000. That was your finance director, not Steve Toskey. So you probably could have had you ran on the idea of more police, but like the dead girl, that was just a con. You don't care about police. Treadway gave zero money over the last 2 years to the general fund. E2C had guaranteed $300,000. That's $600,000 of revenue that we missed over the last 2 years. That's 6 cops. We're so concerned about police, which you ran on. That's 6 missing cops. And now you're saying, oh, we all thought that, no, we would never get $300,000 out of them. You were on the budget. You sat right there, Jen. Didn't say a word at the time. Didn't protest it. Didn't mention that we're not going to get 300,000. The budget is not monopoly money. It's real dollars. So as much as I don't like Treadway, I would never have put $300,000 in the budget from them without even having a conversation with them. I said it at the time on the public record. I said, I think that's stupid. Of course, I also wouldn't have screwed your employees out of their cost of living increases without having a conversation with them either, which you also did. And you still haven't resolved that problem. You still have not reached an agreement with AFSCME about the cost of living, and you still may not get that agreement from them. That's another $1 million in your budget, in addition to the $300,000 that Treadway has screwed you out of. And your fantasy about even getting $100,000, it's not going to happen. I've seen how they're spending money. They will be out of money before October. I will bet you money on it. And they will be borrowing money from the city before October comes because they mismanage it. I'm glad to see though that you did acknowledge that they lied on the public record about the size of the gas tank. So the question I have for you is when you have a contractor that shows up and lies to you on the public record, what are you going to do about it? Just going to accept the lie? Or are you going to cancel their contract?
Next public comment, please.
Good afternoon, Stephen Toskey, a leading citizen of our wonderful city, St. Helens. And I am here to take Ms. Massey up on her request for some help. And I'm here to provide you some counsel. We had an economic study done that said that our waterfront development has to be the cornerstone of our economic future. Getting it right is vital importance. I don't know what we're talking about with this developer because we really don't have a plan out in public. We don't know what we're talking about. We need to build appropriate housing to be purchased by people with the buying power that are going to lift all of our boats. People with expendable income. We need to reject any proposal that includes apartment type housing until and after at least 200 owned housing units are built. That way we've got some families in here that can go to our restaurants, our stores, buy our clothing, and bring the kind of economic vitality that we're searching for. It's our #1 opportunity. And I'm very strongly counseling you to make sure that message is sent to the developer. I'd rather see us pass on 100 bad projects than accept one that is wrong. We have one chance to get this right. I know you guys can do it. So that's my counsel there. Regarding the boat, you know, there was a time when that boat was operating. And we think back to that time, okay, and I was down here. And I saw the happy faces and the families going back and forth to Sand Island. And that boat was being paid for by our tourism program. The tourism program was operating in a way where that operation of that boat was absorbed within the tourism program and paid for. Now we switched out our tourism contractor, and what's apparent to me is that we're getting a lot less for a lot more. And that was one of the things we discussed in the budget committee meeting. And, you know, I think that's a problem that the council's gonna work on. We're gonna be talking about it. But I don't think this is the right time to be selling the future of a boat being part of our waterfront economic vitality. I said this in the budget committee meeting, and I said it again to you. Just wait, keep the boat. It's an asset. Think about, what is your vision of St. Helens? My vision is one that includes a lot of people having a lot of fun on the waterfront, including the use of our boat, hopefully paid for by tourism dollars. Let's not sell it. Thank you.
Please.
Chief Lopez. A great deal of good answers came from the mayor discussing my questions about the recorded minutes. The one question that I did ask that was not answered is what is held in YouTube and who's ever doing the transcription, is that legally acceptable? That was not answered. Fully aware of the number of places it was recorded. And a nitpicking observation, the minutes also, on part of the minutes regarding what I said, it said he said. And part of the minutes of what Brady Preheim said, he said. Well, that's nice, but what it really says is I was listening to Brady and he said this, which makes the words that follow he said basically hearsay. If it said Brady said this, it'd be one thing. Basically, it was done to make good conversational English, but not legal terms. I've been in enough courts in the federal system to know that a few words make a lot of difference. Speaking of legal, I'd like to know how much we spend on legal services throughout the year, because obviously we pay the lawyer about, when at least when I was on council, $325 an hour. So to a work session, 6 or 7 hours, including travel, every time that they're here. And whether they consider the business of executive session something new, which would make it another set of drawings. Then we have things where the lawyers are needed for property deals. How much do we pay for that? We also have legal suits for us and against us. We want to know how much is for that. Then we have things that we have to pay for. Like we were fined by the DEQ $31,000 for not covering up a pile of stuff and not draining it correctly. We also have negotiation of union contracts. What I've just mentioned, there's about $89,000 a year, and I didn't fill in all of these. I'd like to know next time how many dollars we spend on legal services. If we pay out, how much it costs us to vend, how much we do for contracts. Thank you.
Next comment? Do you have anybody online?
No, but I just wanted to let you know Russ is online.
Counselor Hubbard, can you hear us? You have access to comment if you're Kathy. Make sure he's not trying to say something over there at some point. We don't hear him.
Are you there? Or doesn't know how to unmute himself? Asked him to unmute.
Okay. I just want to make sure that when he has something that we don't see him up there. All right, so we're moving into discussion topics. So I think one of my favorite things is the link, the service recognition. We have 3 awesome recognitions today. So we have Melanie Payne, 20 years, Jennifer Johnson and Shauna Duggan, 15 years. Amazing. And I know that when I started in this elected position, one of the things that I really like is that I like the individual supervisor to be able to speak about the employee because, you know, they work more intimately with the employee. And so I don't want it to give the ambiance that I don't want to give the awards out, but also I just feel like it's really important that council celebrates. That's why we all take the pictures together. And also I think it's important for the employees to hear the kind words that their direct supervisors have to say about them. So, John, would you mind? And then we'll take a picture. Crystal's favorite thing, we'll screw up all of the name tags up here.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The city's #1 assets are our employees, and today we have, 3 well-tenured employees that have been here a long time. I think that's a testament to our city and their commitment to their job and their profession. And Melanie, first place, gets her 20 years today.
Okay.
Congratulations on that. And I'll read a little blob here about Melanie Payne began working with the city in December of 2005 as a deputy clerk. She subsequently held positions such as a legal assistant to the prosecuting attorney, municipal court assistant to the prosecuting attorney, and municipal court clerk, where she currently serves. Millie's done a remarkable job in keeping the municipal court prosecutor's office organized and running smoothly. The city appreciates her dedication to the court, and we bring commitment to the city. Millie's one of those people you don't see a lot. She's in the back, buried in files, organizing the court, but very much appreciated. Jen Johnson is not here, but Joy is her supervisor.
Jen is out today. She would have been here, but she's not. So Jen's been at the city since January 2001. And she has worked from utility billing all the way through the various finance positions. She is very dedicated. She works quietly and is so knowledgeable. And she has been an immense help me when I transitioned into the position I'm in. And she is, I really have a lot of respect for her, and so does her teammates.
And give her a clap.
Nice, like when she is back and when we have maybe another work session that she could come in so that we can also thank her personally, like, thank you, but then we can also get a picture with her as well.
Yes.
How we get out of the photo?
Yeah, that would be wonderful. So
Jen and Shauna started about the same time in 2010, so they're tied for 15 within just a week or so. And Shauna also started off in the utility billing specialist position and kind of worked up through the ranks over the years, and was the foundational person that moved into the recreation position of their connections with the community and sports. Started off as half rec, half utilities. You can probably tell your own story better than I can. But in 2019, we made her full-time recreation manager. She takes part in a brief period of time as well as recreation, was Parks and Recreation manager, both Parks and Rec, and that decoupled. Now she's full-time recreation. That does amazing things for the job, fundraises. The recreation program is one of those foundational programs that brings people together. And to their parents and to mix connections. It's just a wonderful thing. And the best part about it is the revenue is mostly covers the expense as far as the program. Amazing at getting grants, developing partnerships to help our community succeed and be less of a burden on the general fund as possible. So we appreciate that.
I want to add one thing to Shauna too, which is that whenever I go to community networking things and just out in the community talking with people, wearing my many hats that I wear, Shauna is there and she's advocating for the city, and he reminds us what it's like to build something positive in the community. Even when things are a little rough, just going out there and saying like, I'm proud of the place I work. I'm proud of what I've done for this community to make it better. So thank you.
Counselor Hubbard came just for the picture, so. clearly.
Jenna,
Looky there.
Are we gonna do a picture? We'll have two. Wait, so Melanie and Shauna, will you come up and do pictures with the council then? We're going down, John.
Time, Russ. Yeah, I couldn't miss a picture, you know?
This one's yours.
I was hoping you'd try. How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I'll do that. We'll keep Jennifer's for next time.
Star of the show here.
She is the star of the show, yes.
That I always have my hands folded, so I'm gonna try something different. My coworkers made a comment.
You have them usually behind like your back. That's usually your,
Yeah.
Or rotate, get cozy.
you have it by now, right?
Yeah. It's this side.
It's horrible.
Congratulations, you two. Thank you so much. for-
Thank you. You put me with their rib trap.
Yeah.
Here on this side.
Breath.
I love this.
Got titles.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't fix it. We just walked away.
know.
I apologize.
Were you unable to not get yourself off mute? Is that why you came in?
I couldn't get on Zoom.
Okay, so moving on to the quarterly reports for the city departments. All right, well, we have somebody like already ready up here. Jacob, hi, you guys just came all the way? Sure. Do you guys have anything that you want? I didn't have any questions. I mean, staff and burnout are obviously a concern on both of you, right, as far as that goes. But I didn't generally have any questions. Did anybody else? You guys do really comprehensive reports.
I just wanted to make a comment about the changes that we've seen in the building for Grace's Antique. I was like, wow. And I feel like the facelift that I've seen is just, it's really nice work. It's a nice building. It looks great. So thanks for kind of sharing the photos and the before and after.
Me?
Yeah.
The one thing that I didn't include in here, and it's just awareness of phishing. So there was a lot of phishing attempts from our planning commission meeting in December. Both of our planning commission candidates received phishing emails saying,
I thought you meant actual fishing.
no.
I was like, we're
phishing with an H, so.
I thought we were talking about the docs, or I didn't even know what was happening.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, bad stuff. So both of them received phishing messages saying something to the effect of, the planning commission is interested in you, but pay some money to be able to attend. Both the applicant and developer of a subdivision that we reviewed in December, phishing emails to the effect of, hey, your application's going well. If you pay this money, we can continue on the process. And then the city also received a phishing email about the police station, which we kind of caught. It didn't result in anything.
Did any of these pay?
One person
Oh,
did
no.
take the bait, yeah. Yeah, and the facial expression on their face. I found out right before the meeting started, so they were sitting here and sitting there, and you could tell they were not happy. So I say that just so everybody's kind of aware of that stuff happening. We've been targeted. In fact, the fact that our commission candidates have been targeted, it's just something to be aware of and to talk to people about.
Well, I'm glad that you're coming on here and so that we have this on the record. Hopefully people listen to it and it's nice for us to know as well. So we appreciate that because that way we can, when we're out talking to people, or if it comes up, we at least have the knowledge of it.
Yeah, and talking to the chief, it sounded like there had been other targets recently too. I don't know if they're related or not, but
On my city manager's listserv, this issue has come up and they're really targeting those community development developer connections, sending bills around and requesting them to only, only all the red flags, right? But just the clicking on that pay link to submit their payment,
by wire only.
not just us. Yeah, it's always, oh, don't talk to anybody, don't call me.
Shared anything on social media about that we wouldn't.
No,
have to
but I
help
think
read
that's a good
that way
idea.
Or something.
That's a good idea. Is that something, John, that we could possibly have Crystal put out there on our social media Facebook page?
It seems to be real specific to direct relationships, like developers working with the city or things that would come up in media.
Maybe it's just a good general, like, practice anyway. Not-
Send out a message.
Yeah, just, I mean, people can take it in their own personal life, not if they're a developer that should be paying attention to that, validate if people are asking you for funds. That's unfortunate. I feel horrible for that person.
So I think for like even, commission candidates, we may need to put something in the advertisement that says,
City would never attempt to collect, money from you or just some type of a
Yeah.
disclaimer about that we would never do it in that way. I think that's helpful for people to know.
Chief, did you have something you were gonna say?
Yes, I just want to let the council know this is under active investigation. We have persons of interest identified and we're optimistic that we can resolve this. My only request would be with the new information, could you please have them call me directly? So I could initiate a report and see if the information is corroborative.
Okay. You guys have, Mike, did you have anything council can help you with besides more staff and more money? More money?
Yeah,
I'm seeing the permits issued, right?
yeah,
I didn't do a contrast comparison from previous year, but
and I can get you in a report in the next quarter that kind of compares annual stuff from one year to the next, if you'd like.
well, I'm out and about in the community a lot and I am always seeing you passing by me, moving all over the city.
yeah.
So you're out and about a lot. Okay, I didn't have any other questions. Counselor Harrison? Okay. Thank you for the report.
you, guys.
Really nice to get that detailed information. Okay, then we have follow-up on utility rate outreach and final study or rate study consultants Steve Donovan and finance director Bush. I'm gonna say it again, as you're walking up here, thank you so much for holding that public forum. I wanna, like me personally, wanna see more of that for, key things that are going on in the city as we move forward into this year and hopefully, I think it was beneficial. So, thank you.
great, and Jen Johnson was at our meeting. So he was out there or in the water, so and very helpful. We are gonna be very quick and brief. You remember, we did the rate study. We said we're going to go to the public meeting. Now, this is a circle back meeting, so it's gonna be 5 slides, quick. Go ahead, Kathy. Quick recap of the December 11th meeting, and 2 of you were there, so we've got eyes on the ground. But we restate want you to consider for the rate increases on July 1st, and then next steps. Go ahead, Kathy. So on July 11th, there were 24 or 22 attendees at the meeting, which is actually quite impressive for a late night meeting. We were there for an hour and a half, as you both were aware. Mayor and Councilor Sundin were there. My view, my judgment was apprehension starting out in the meeting. But as we went through the presentation and we got engaged conversation with, I would say, most of the people there. Once the temperature went down and we went through the facts, and I think we heard a lot that getting facts and getting the answer of why are you raising the increases, raising the rates, was more important than the darn rate increases themselves. And then finally, you can clear me up on that, but I think there was appreciation from the folks that were there that they got the information. They don't like the answer, but none of us like the answer.
I agree with that. I had feedback from that meeting and just the misinformation that gets put out there. They were appreciative to get it from, so to speak, the horse's mouth, right? It's just like, here it is. This is the factual information. And there was, I think, an immense appreciation for that. So thank you.
And I gotta also, I mean, give props to Mohammed and Sharon because they were there talking about what exactly the projects are and why we're doing this. And I thought that was a real sort of a belt and braces approach to this, because normally we'll do a rate presentation and we'll define the numbers and so on, and we'll say, and have a nice day. And everybody goes, well, why are you doing this again? And the water project and the sewer project were clearly defined and clearly understood. Go ahead, Kathy. Now, this is, you might have seen this morning in the paper. There was a brief article about the pending rate increase and inviting people to come to your meeting this evening to talk about it. We're talking about an overall 5.4% utility bill increase that we're requesting, monthly increase. That translates from $143 that roughly you're paying right now for the average citizen, average customer, would be $7.72. And the projected profile goes out from $143 today. By the end of 2031, it would be $186. And the components of that are water, wastewater, and stormwater, as you can see on the screen there. This is in the rate study, and we presented this to you before. I just wanted to reinforce that this is the ask. Go ahead, Kathy. And then here is, once again, I think this was appreciative at the meeting too. People were able to understand where are our monthly bills relative to our neighbors. And this also includes the public safety fee. So this is the total nut on the bill. You currently pay the average customer $153.40. On July 1st, if you choose to follow through with our request, that would go up to $161.12. Thing that I want to point out here, this is going to be July 1st. Every one of the, not everyone, but the preponderance of the communities on that chart will also be going up. It's cold comfort for you, but everybody's moving up because costs are going up. Mark and I were talking about this before the meeting, and you are not immune to cost increases. So that's what's driving this.
I'm confused. I thought on the last slide you said it was gonna go up by $7, so it would go up to 150, but this is showing 161.
That includes the, if you go back, Kathy. Right here, this is just the utilities, just water, sewer, and stormwater.
Right, and on the next slide, it says utilities as well. So that's why I'm confused.
And well, this, see the orange piece, general services? That's the slice that increases it out. And that's the $10.20.
The public safety facility fee that we are using for debt service on the.
I just want to make sure it's clear because I'm like, I don't understand where that.
That's why we put that extra yellow or pumpkin slice in there to show by component. You've got water, blue, sewer, red, transportation, green, and then stormwater, purple, and then there's the general services, to be clear that that's what everybody's really paying when you write the check.
And I see all the other communities doing the general services on their utility.
And it's getting to be a bigger and bigger component.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Now, what we'll be doing now, we'll take feedback from you tonight or today, this afternoon. And if there's any other questions or changes that you want, we'll incorporate them then. We'll lock down this process. And as we pointed out last month when we were here, this is so procedural. We wanted to get this rate presentation to you so that this ties clearly into your budget cycle, which at the next cycle here and today, she's going to talk about the budget calendar. So this really does dovetail into that. And then we'll report back to you prior to the start of the fiscal year as to where things go. Thank you. That's our presentation.
I wanted to add on your regular session, you do have a resolution and there's been some Scrivener errors on that will be corrected. It says that you're adopting this rates tonight. What we're proposing that resolution adopt is adopt the rate study itself. So we'll come back to you in June, just like we always do, along with the budget to actually adopt the new fees. So those will be adopted annually. We just want to memorialize the rate study. So that is the basis that we'll be working on with the budget.
Thank you for that. I don't have any other questions. Does any?
But you're an easy room to work.
I think that the more you can come and communicate and we have these forums, there's less questions to ask,
There
right?
you go.
We understand it better.
There you go. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I am crazy. So I know, it's like blowing down here. Okay, so I know, I didn't really want to go to bed. Okay, so anyway, moving on, number 5, we have update on harbor master services for city docks and Sand Island docks. Brad Henderson and Tony. Come up, please.
All right. David, insurance guy, just comparable. So he's finally got it.
Oh, good.
So he send you an email. Sorry about that, guys. Hi.
Are you facilitating this or
Um,
is
with,
that the professional service agreement?
I think it's just a check-in. It just came up as a check-in on how things are going with the relationship with the marina managing the docks there.
The docks, yeah. Well, this is our, this is the person that's taking care of you guys not having any homeless boats down there at the docks. Tony does a fantastic job. She's there all the time, every day. She lives right up on the hill, so it makes it pretty easy for her to walk by it and everything. But you do not want that mess. And you know, I can say right now, you don't have it. So I think things are going well.
Going well for us here.
Yeah, it's
Other
good.
places, not so much when
Oh
it
my
comes
God.
to abandoned vessels.
Yep.
It's expensive and it's hard to get rid of them.
That's why we got a harbor master,
Yeah.
and that's why we got a kiosk, and that's why we did all of this. So is it working?
It's working.
working.
Well, I go down there, doesn't matter if you have a $500,000 yacht or a 23-foot ratty sailboat, you get to stay for 3 days as long as you pay.
Yep.
And it's consistency. You just have to be there every day. And we've managed to get rid of the worst of the element that we've had. I mean, a few of them come back, but you know, I still go and chat with them, and then as long as they do what they're asked to do, they can stay, they can come and go, but they can't live there. Not happening. No.
Unless, and I'm sure some of you have seen it, there's a boat sitting on Sand Island docks right now, down on the north end. That was somebody just walked away from his
We
boat.
just abandon it, and
They just don't care, you know?
it's a biohazard.
Yeah, you don't want to be anywhere near it, and it's now in the city's docks, or whatever, the city has to go and get the lien against it to be able to get the title to, I mean, it's months to then be able to destroy the boat.
That the barge that's out there?
No, that's that white,
Fiberglass.
and there was a
Oh, yeah,
couple of
30 footer.
people, yeah, I mean, they were. Yeah,
So
they were
much.
just the same.
Owned by the city.
No, we own the barge. The city's used it for the fireworks for the last 2 years. So yeah, no, that's our barge. We use it for bringing stuff back and forth to the island, you know, machinery and stuff like that.
Yeah, if you measure harbor master agreement after harbor master agreement, I mean, we used to have a problem. We don't have
We don't have a problem.
fraction of the
I
problem.
mean, the other part of the problem is the tie-in between these boats that do come, and the worst thing there was the uptick in theft and vandalism, what we saw on the waterfront with people's either boats or cars or whatever, easy access, and we just can't have it. You don't want to look like downtown Portland.
Yeah,
The yacht clubs, you know, they stopped coming for 2 years, but they're very happy now, some of them. They're much happier, so we get a lot more yacht clubs coming now. It's become a destination again, which is only good for the city. So,
Just coincidentally, earlier today, Marine Deputy Wheeler came in and talked about the boat on the docks and wanting some assistance trying to get that enforced, and but very appreciative of the relationship with Harbor Master. Deep appreciation for Tony and her work out there doing.
yeah, well, the Sheriff Deputy Wheeler has been amazing asset for us to have.
when he has the money to get out there.
when he has the money, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's always got my back,
Big time.
that's for sure, and it's just nice to know that somebody's got my back, because some of these people are very, well, I don't know, I've been called lots of things.
She has very,
Mostly,
very thick skin.
mostly the female anatomy is what I get called, but
Yes.
that's all right.
Well, and boats are hard to get rid of. I know that the city's having problems with like RVs, abandoned RVs, yes,
Okay.
and boats out in.
Yeah, you've got a boat on the end of Sovey Island that's sitting over there, a sailboat that's washed up on the beach there. They just, they strip them, they walk away from them, so the what we do to stop them from coming here is better for everyone, so.
Another little asset you have is we do have a couple of boat trailers that can take these boats out of the water instead of having to have them towed somewhere or something like that. So when it gets time to actually crushing these things, we've done it a few times with boats we have in the marina, so.
Fun.
We do have. It's fun to watch what happens when it's done, right? But anyway, that's a avenue that you have to help get rid of some of the crap. So we don't want it. It makes our docks look bad, right? Makes the waterfront, and we're all about the waterfront.
Let's talk about basically the environmental aspect. We also do
Yeah.
not want unworthy sea vessels that are contaminants in the water and
Oh.
eating it. So
Yep.
that is a huge issue as well, so.
And you have one down there on those docks, so.
That's not a yacht.
It's not.
I'm down there quite a bit, not so much now that the weather's changed, and I think it's great down there. I think you guys have done a fantastic job, so I appreciate it.
With the harbor master and the kiosk, and it seems like it's actually one of the few things that I'm really proud of my time on council is accomplishing that, because it felt like something we were never gonna get fixed. It felt like a problem that was on.
There's a lot of legal problems with maritime law and, there's different laws and things that affect things on the water that are very archaic, from centuries ago, some of this stuff is they thought of, but it's not, but so legally we had to go through the process with you guys to get this to happen, so.
We did it, it's working, good.
Yes, exactly.
We do have an updated COI on, right? We have an updated COI.
Of insurance for harbor master.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good there. Yeah.
So just talking to Kathy about it, was,
Yeah, I saw the 2020.
It did take a while to get what we have our change in our rules and negotiating with the Marine Board and having to do
5 years.
rate studies and, where they had really archaic rules where you couldn't charge at all. And if you did, it'd have to be, it was like $2 was the max you could stay. And that didn't help fund anything.
no, can't maintain the docks. Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
The boaters are pleased to have the docks clean and clear when they come and don't mind paying for the moorage and electricity if you need it.
That's right.
It offsets a huge portion of this expense, so.
Well, I think we save money as far as the police department goes, because those nuisance calls would go to those guys. Whereas we can just go down and talk to them and say, hey, and then if we need, I've had a good meeting with you about, we did have a problem, gentleman there yelling 10.
Please be safe down there. Nobody expects you to put yourself.
No, exactly, no,
No confrontations.
no, we don't do any confrontations, no, we just walk away, and then it's all called Deputy Wheeler. And or if we come to it, then we've worked out something that I can pull him in.
The best part is if you're a continual presence, they don't want to stay there. They don't
Yeah.
want to get bugged. They want to go somewhere where they can, sleep till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's just, if you're constantly there, they go away. So that's the positive.
Be annoying.
Be annoying. You're so good at it.
I'm very good at it.
Guys.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
I see that we had removed from the agenda, the review proposal agreement for police department drone, so that is off, but Chief Smith. But wondering, I know we're not gonna talk about the proposal, but it did get brought up today about staffing with police, and there was a concern from a citizen about fireworks on New Year's, and I just want to take a step back, and I don't want to put you on the spot. So if you want to come back and answer, that's totally fine too, but just a little history, you know, starting with last year with the discussions and staffing and you know, the concern to have, you know, 24-hour coverage, the conversations about that, the moving into projecting for retirements, the you know, termination of an employee in like in August, or I think it was, or and then another somebody that was on probation was gone, so we lost 4 officers. And so that made it very difficult for staffing. And I'm kind of curious, 2 questions. One is, what are we looking like for staffing currently? And 2, since that came up, and 2, I'm curious because we're going into the budget season, how have we actually been able to facilitate 24-hour coverage? Has it been scheduled, or do we have officers working copious amounts of overtime on a sign-up schedule since around, you know, last year sometime? Because it's gonna come up in our budget, and I just would like to know where we're at, where we're going. Are we gonna continue to have 24-hour coverage based solely on 100% voluntary sign up for our officers? Because I worry about burnout too.
Well, right now, we can only staff 2 shifts. We, in practice, do not have 24-hour coverage. We have 24-hour police coverage because officers have been voluntarily working overtime 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 18 months. The big challenge that we have with that is that we were budgeted for $300,000 for overtime this fiscal year, and after meeting with Gloria yesterday, we are projected to spend $543,000 is what we're projected to spend by the end of this fiscal year. So if we continue as we are, we're going to exceed our overtime budget by almost $250,000. The other challenge we have is that currently we have overtime filled for this month. However, I cannot fill the overtime shifts in February. So we are going to have to transition to an on-call schedule. The citizen that did talk about New Year's Eve, we were lucky to have 2 officers working on New Year's Eve. And I went and had a conversation with Nancy and kind of explained to her what will explain to all of you, is that we are technically down 6 operational officers right now. My detective sergeant position is open. It is not filled. At the end of my contract, council will have the ability to demote me from my position if they choose that I'm not performing up to standard. And I can just go into my current position, my old position. But that's one position that is unfilled. There is another officer position that is currently not filled right now. We have 2 job offers out, conditional job offers to 2 employees. Officer Jacob Milana will be starting here February 10th. He's a lateral police officer from Reedsport. He has completed his background investigation and psychological testing, and we're looking forward to having him on board. We have another officer who just completed his background investigation. He is scheduled for his psychological and medical evaluation within the next several weeks. Our goal, in close consultation with Gloria, is to see if it's possible to bring that individual on at the same time. That's kind of an open question. I would love to bring this person on the same time because if we can hire these 2 officers who do not need to attend the basic police academy, that saves us 16 weeks. And they will need to go through their 20 weeks of internal training through the field training program to become operational. And right around that exact same time, we have 2 officers, Officer Rue and Officer Stratton. Officer Rue just graduated from the basic police academy, and Officer Stratton is due to graduate January 30th. If the stars align, we could conceivably have all 4 of them completing all of their necessary training and being released to solo status by the end of first quarter of this year, which would give us enough personnel to not only return to 24/7 staffing, but if we're able to bring this other officer on board, I could finally move a detective into detectives to assist, because right now we are inundated on cases, child sex abuse cases, and child pornography cases. So in addition to being your chief, I'm still supervising detectives. I'm essentially still doing my old job. But even with that, we need additional help. But I hope that answers your question.
It does. I just wanted to, I wanted to understand better the fact that we have not had enough bodies to have standard shifts of police coverage for 24-hour coverage because there's not enough people, and they have been working overtime for 18 months that is going to severely impact our budget that's going to come up.
Yes, it's already impacted.
Yeah, it's impacting it. And then what I'm also hearing though, on a positive side, is that we have people coming on so that hopefully it will be short-lived where we can actually staff and schedule so there's not copious amounts of overtime and burnout.
Yes.
Okay. That is helpful. I clearly do not want us to be in a situation to not have 24-hour coverage. So I'm also curious on if there is something going on to backfill that. Like that's something that, I mean, it could be for another topic or you could come back in, but I'm personally not happy with that. I know that people are obviously from what you just said are just only working overtime and that's how we're accomplishing. We can't make people work. And that's the problem.
I do have an idea and a proposal that I will need to meet with Sheriff Pixley about and also probably Mr. Walsh. That would alleviate this issue where we can have 24-hour police coverage and staffing during the short period of time until I can get these bodies operational. It will not look like the current model, but I'm in very early conceptual discussions right now to make that happen. I'm on top of it and I can meet with Mr. Walsh in short order to go over it.
Thank you for answering. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I appreciate it.
I was kind of curious about that and talks in the past about losing 24-hour coverage. The citizens of St. Helens are paying the same taxes as the citizens of Vernonia to have sheriff coverage for their city as well. So I think it is important to have that conversation with the sheriff.
The problem is that call out there's a lot, and correct me if I'm wrong, if there is a specific call that would require, like if it's domestic violence or something of the sort, it's going to require two people. So if you have somebody traveling from, let's say Rainier and somebody from here, they cannot go to that call until they have both people present, correct?
Yes, that's our
So
policy.
you can theoretically have a call for service. You can have a CCSO officer in Vernonia or in Clascanine that is covering, that we would either have to get that person down here to like pair up with another partner to go to that call or whatever it is. You're coming from different geographical locations.
It's conceivable that even if we do have this conceptual idea I have of coverage, that officers could be on a priority call and won't be able to respond. The other, I think, more realistic concern that I always have is the fact that every officer shortly will hopefully have access to an AED. And I worry about citizens who are having a medical emergency and we don't have an on-duty person with an AED where minutes count. So that's also something that's very near and dear to me. I want to pursue an option that we're exploring to get an AED in every car and have an AED, at least several AEDs available to our citizens 24 hours a day.
Well, thank the officers for working overtime as they have for the last 18 months to provide us with 24-hour coverage. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to review budget calendar, since we're all about budgets today. We are. Lori, it's your time to shine.
Season.
It is.
Budget season, and so I circulated the calendar to staff to make sure that there was, that everybody's aware and everybody's ready to tackle the budget and everybody's good. So this is a little bit more of an aggressive schedule. We have most of it's the time, the next 4 months is pretty much internal staff. And we're going to be hammering on this budget. As you know, though, we are, it's a challenge and it's going to be a challenge this year, especially. So we need to start circling and figuring out how we're going to answer those questions.
You have anything else on that, John?
Challenge is a good word.
Thank you for, well,
Opportunities
Yeah,
hopefully
thank-
accompany those challenges.
I'm excited to really see what comes out of like the strategic planning aspect, right? Like we know it's gonna be a rough year, but we also know that hopefully the year after next, because of the new things that have come before us this last year are gonna be helpful, right? So with the mill and all of those different things. And so I'm excited to see us try to at least try to plan ourselves out of this.
So it's going to take a couple years to recover from where we've come from. And this year, getting through the rest of this year is especially challenging. And we will be having discussions about that.
Thank you for your hard work on this, Gloria. We really appreciate you. Did a fantastic job. I love the fact that you don't have to deal with anything other than the numbers.
Right.
Thank you for that. Anybody have anything else for Gloria? Besides, she probably has one of the toughest jobs here.
She's next on the agenda though.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So-
Yeah.
There we go.
So this one, we thought we had pretty much addressed a little over a year ago, but I don't think that it went through the full process. Last year, around August, September, we had experienced, and last year meaning 2024, we had experienced a lot of big leak adjustments and also including some more basic leak adjustments that were they were over the $1,000 mark, but they were standard, they followed all the process and policies and procedures, and they, would have been more efficiently processed and approved by staff, by the city administrator and myself. So my memo to you was to let's bring this policy in where you only have to view and approve those leak adjustments that are not standard, they're significant or they're asking for a full leak adjustment rather than just a standard leak adjustment. There's some things that were a little bit out of policy, but they might be, valid reasons why the procedures couldn't be, and or if the customer appeals a decision that that John or I made.
I completely agree with that.
We're just looking for efficiency. You spend a lot of time up here also, and it also to bring these to you causes a little extra staff time as well. So we're just really trying to be a little bit more efficient and asking you all to trust staff to make those decisions based on our policies and procedures.
They can still appeal.
Yes.
I personally agree with it. I agree with the fact that there's an anomaly that, it should come to us, right? Because we're, having to make a decision on that. However, I like everything about it, except for I would still like to see, even on a quarterly basis, on what the total denomination is that the staff has approved for leak adjustments, right? Because then we know if we have potentially something else, right? If it's like, I think that
If it's something that needs to be buttoned up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or something.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
it's quarterly,
I can add that into my quarterly financial reports.
be wonderful.
Okay.
Good. Counselor Sunny?
It's good.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, then we have discussion regarding city tourism program assets, tram and boat. City Administrator John Walsh, you're up.
The city has a tram, city has a boat. Both.
Production, John.
Problematic, the boat, start with the boat first, the boat. We bought the boat, it had a certificate of inspection dating back to its origins in 1994. And went along, had a good career, it's been licensed the entire life cycle of the boat. It's time on the East Coast in service. It came out of the water, was sold, sold to the city to have some modifications, upgrades, basically a refit, and still had the COI. It went through the COI inspection down there with the Coast Guard, and I'm going to say Coast Guard, there's the National Document Center in West Virginia, and then there's chapters around the country in Portland. And So there's a national chapter that does this licensing and then it's an annual inspection that happens through the state. Local government office here. Somewhere in the boat got to be operational. It had, the COI was, we had a refresh COI through 2008. The local chapter did some updates and then we used the boat for a year and a half, but until the next annual inspection came up. When that annual inspection came up, there was this things flagged from a file review at the national level that said here's 6 deficiencies that we've noted in this file since we approved it already. And so we've tasked with, okay, play along and try to correct all of these. And we've managed to correct 5 of 6 of those. And the number 6 is kind of a circular reference. It wants us to provide a certificate of original build affidavit from someone who actually in the Wisconsin warehouse and certified its construction. So our argument has been it's had a COA the whole time. It's not new. It's just a sale. And it's just going back around and around in that circle. I'm working with on a limited basis with a maritime specialist out of Schwabe in Portland. They've do vessels all over the place and, very frustrated with this. So it's our options now are just to continue to make this argument, or the National Document Center is saying you can, through this Jones Waiver Act, you can reduce your passengers down from 25 down to 12. And that's not the boat we bought. So we're kind of been pushing back on that. And we didn't buy a boat that big to haul 12 people.
Do we have to have that national build to get this? Do we have to have the COI to sell it? Is I guess what I'm asking for is, do we have to have 6 out of 6 steps? Do we have to have this to sell this?
Well, anybody purchasing would want to do their own diligence and we would withhold that. So.
No, I'm saying, do we have to have it intact? Do we have to have the COI, the buy off?
You need the title of the car to sell the car.
Well, the COI and the title and registration documents are separate, but
I know, it's a bigger thing.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm saying, can we sell the boat right now?
I think so.
With the same worth. Will the worth be different? Will the value be different?
That's hard to say. It's if we were gonna do that, we'd want to look at a pretty global market, because this is the only boat of its time and type that we know that the Coast Guard, US or the Portland office knows about of this style. You go over to Florida and the East Coast, they're everywhere.
Now the boat and the train, we lost our building that it used to be in, so they're sitting out in the weather, deteriorating.
And for the record, the boat is not usable right now. We cannot use the boat.
Sure.
It's usable, not usable for a commercial application. You can still use it.
We cannot use it for the purpose that we purchased it for. Is that safe to say?
Unless we want to get the 12-person waiver.
And the insurance is at about $60,000 a year. What is it?
Well, you could buy that much insurance, but
What is the insurance?
5,000 to 8,000 per year. Yeah.
And then it has to have it.
60 come from. That was the insurance guy was saying.
Yeah, I feel like that's in my head for some reason.
That's what he stated. It was $60,000.
We did get estimates that high, yes.
What about the captain?
The captain is licensed. Well, he's not really employed, but he's available. He has all the proper credentials to run a boat like that.
And the first mate too.
And there's a mate, yeah.
So right now, our problem is we have a captain. We can get insurance, but we transport 12 people. If we get that waiver.
If we go into the waiver.
Now we can't transport anybody.
Right, no, I get that.
I'm just making sure that's
Here's
clear.
my thing.
The city can use the boat. We just can't use it for hire, right? We can't transport passengers.
That's what I just said.
Unless we get the waiver, and that's only 12 people instead of 25. So it's half of the volume that we can get on there. Just from my perspective, we're on the river. We should probably have some sort of a boat. I decide to not to go that route. I think down in the future, we'll end up getting another boat. It's aluminum boat.
Where are we gonna store the boat right now?
You can sit outside.
No, it's got a canvas top, deteriorates first year.
And I think we spent like
top off.
70,000 or something like that on the remodel of it or something. of the
Oh, yeah. No,
Renovation.
This was a dog and then just keep throwing money out. Now we got attorneys going after certifications and that's running like crazy.
I think I'm willing to go either way, but I think it's worth looking. I mean, how much further? This?
We've been looking into it, is the problem, Mark. We've been.
I know
looking
that, but
into
look, it was
Okay.
cool to get this boat, right? Get it.
I'm kind of baffled that we paid this much for the boat anyway, because like I did a ton of research on, like, if you went back to the manufacturer and you actually built the boat from scratch with brand new, there's not 1994 motors on it, would have built it. Yeah, I'm aware of what that boat has. But if you, would have built it with all the bells and whistles, it like was just under what we actually paid for it. So I'm really baffled. Also on Craigslist, there was a stupid amount of boats that were actually in extremely better condition and newer and new motors and didn't come out of salt water. Just, I don't know. I don't understand. This is like a money pit. It's like, I think Jim Coleman said, the best day you buy a boat and like the best and worst days, right?
Yep.
Like, buy a boat. I don't know. I just.
I know.
Here's my thing about it, okay, so here's what my thought is about it, is that I see the potential for the boat. I also see the long game, you know, we're looking at with Sand Island and the ideas that, you know, were brought forward when the boat first came on board. I loved it. I thought it was great. But we have a different person in charge of doing that and it's not in their vision. And it's not really in our vision because it was something that was kind of pitched to us and, you know, and it was a great idea at the time. But I don't think if we're being conservative and we're looking at hard lines with budgets, I don't think we can afford the boat right now. And it's not gonna have a return on investment at least for several years, if that. And then we have to figure out how to take care of this boat in the meantime. So it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me to keep it right now. So.
I don't know. I saw other boats that were much nicer than this for $70,000. I have pictures.
25 passenger boat.
Absolutely. I have pictures of them. I literally have pictures of the boats. I did a stupid amount of research on the boats.
Brandon, what do you think about the boat?
It's based on what you're saying, John. It doesn't look like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's no immediate chance of getting this resolved.
Mayor, and if you're saying,
It just seems to be a loop with the Coast Guard.
and if you're saying we do this again later on, and we'll pay less money and we won't have these issues. So we're kind of looking at if we chose to go that way,
Just go which way? Say it again.
to get another boat, if you're saying that it's available. I've never seen anything like, I mean, I see what aluminum boats are going for now that are
Yeah,
25, 28 feet.
I would say,
Costs on those are not.
yeah, I would say is around February. I mean, they might have paid more or we might have paid more because of the COVID time, but definitely doing research at, you know, in 2023 and 2024, there were boats that were like much nicer, that were newer, and they were from generally around this geographical area. So I don't know. But regardless of that, right? It's like, how much money are we going to continue to spend, and what does the actual, with Council President Shelton, what does the actual vision look like going forward? How are we going to take care of the asset now? What does that look like going forward? Is it actually going to be used? The only like positive side is that when I had spoke to Sheriff Pixley, and I think that Chief Smith had a subsequent conversation about an IGA for public safety, because that was a concern I had over there. That seems like that's something that would work out. But I'm also looking at the fact that there's massive budget issues and why we should not be trying to infuse our budget with one-time revenue, because I think that that is a serious problem that this city has had, whether it be timber or whatever, just, you know, infused by one-time Band-Aids. It's like, should we be sitting on money right now? Because if it comes down to me, like, I would rather, not saying it's at that point, but I would rather try to also save people's jobs than to have a aluminum boat sitting out there right now. Like,
What's the value of the boat?
we paid like $230 for it, I think.
Right, that didn't include all the restorations and stuff, did it?
Yeah, I did.
Being in the whole bit, huh?
7,500 for shipping.
They earned it too. So.
Shipping wars. No, I'm just kidding.
It was done in Florida at Barge Works.
The city could list it with the broker and see what kind of offers we get.
You can only get so many cents on the dollar, just figure them out. It's a boat. Get what you pay for a boat, and nobody does. So, it's a decision that was made years ago, and people went for it, and it's not panning out. So let's
Well,
move
to be fair, it wasn't looked at as a one-time revenue when we bought the boat. It was looked at as generating revenue based off of a vision that this council, I can only speak for myself, but the consensus of this council was we all seen that vision and we were willing to stand behind, something that was gonna continue to bring revenue in.
Yeah.
I just think conditions have changed and that's not something that has that revenue source that we thought it would have or could have. And so we have to adjust.
Yeah, I think that, you're right. I think it was proposed, it was something like $2 million in revenue to run that thing. And the thing is I think I'd feel different if there was an actual solid plan in place. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we would like to do. This is how we would like to implement it. This is how we're going to deal with it. But that is not even something, it's not an interest of the current contractors. And then, if somebody was interested, maybe they, have a private, service.
Best way to do it. They come with their own insurance, their own people and everything. At the end of the day, you wave goodbye at them and you're done with it.
Yeah, all the liability.
Don't own the equipment. It's not worthwhile anymore for so many things.
What about the tram? Do we want to talk about the
Well, we
tram?
know that it has 12 to 14 gallon gas capacity now, so at least we got that sorted out. I know I'm gonna sleep better at night tonight for that, for sure. So,
Yeah, and we are attempting to store at least the engine piece indoors, removed from its covered shelter.
Can we get a figure on how much was spent on that and to the
70,000.
And what about I know that there has been repairs and things that have had to be done to it, so.
I don't know all the details on the repairs, but I do know that it has a new engine and new transmission, so it should run.
That included in the 70,000 figure.
let me just say that, I believe I recall that because there was a transfer for $70,000 and I believe that that's what we paid for it. John, did we pay $70,000 for that?
That's the number I recall. Yeah. But subsequent to the purchase, through tourism revenues, it got a new engine and new transmission.
We know what we paid for that? I would not even know what that would cost.
We keep the tram.
Treadway was using it. It broke down right in the middle of some street right here and they towed it out of the way. We've had our mechanic look at it. I don't really have an up-to-date status on its operating condition, but.
Can we legally operate it if it's operational?
It's not road legal
It's not street legal, but neither are side by sides or.
yet.
They would be, they would be street legal. The
It
tram
could
could be,
be,
the tram
yeah.
could be street legal. Right? That was my thing, like,
I don't think
hey,
it goes fast enough.
I don't know, I think
Or
it, I
farming.
think
It
you'd
has
have
something to
to,
do with
you'd
the
have to
speed.
put, you'd have to put something, whatever, on the back of it or whatever the case is, and it'd
Yeah,
have to
like a
have turn
tractor.
signals and it'd have to have, things like that.
They had to redo the brakes. I know that was very expensive. The air brakes
Yeah, the brakes are all redone.
redone. And one of the reasons it didn't work down here is because you gotta connect all the cars. Because the air tank's in the rear car and they didn't have that.
Okay.
Say that one more time?
They took the engine down with two cars or something like that.
Okay,
You have to put all the cars together to hook up the air brakes together.
okay,
And it has to come in return.
got it,
So we'll
got it, makes sense.
You can't just make it shorter.
you can throw enough money in anything. We know
I'm just
that.
saying, you can't just couple it to like 3 cars and have the end there.
I don't know. I've never ridden it.
I don't care.
But Jessica, is this something, you would say the boat is a different plan now, different times? Is the choo-choo train something that could?
In my conversations with Treadway, the tram has been more difficult to operate and utilize in their plans than it's been worth with the breakdowns. And for instance, we talked about them utilizing it for some of their tours downtown, but with the weather being as it is in October, people were getting soaked on this tram and stuff. And so they utilized a trolley instead where people could be in something enclosed and warm and do the tours, and that seemed to be more successful.
And it's covered and you subcontract that and you.
Yeah, and then
Done
we
deal.
don't have to worry about who's driving it and, yeah. So that was my conversation with Treadway when I talked to them about it.
Pretty much same scenario then.
So, I mean, how much more, how much more are we gonna just like go around, you know, in a OODA loop on these things? Are we at a point where we want to put it on the agenda for tonight and discuss putting it for surplus property?
Yep.
And then seeing what we can get out of it. If we can't sell it or it comes back to us, if council wants to see an offer and it doesn't, you know, make sense to let it go for that, then we can make a decision at this time, but we're sitting here looking at, you know, close to $300,000, like, we're not gonna get that out of it, clearly. I don't think, hope we do, but then we can make a determination on it at that time.
I can go with that.
We don't have to commit. If we establish it surplus property, that just gives the ability to sell it, right? And then if it comes back, if council sees the offers and doesn't like it, we don't have to agree on it, correct? Okay.
Yeah, at some point it need to be declared surplus. Yeah.
Yes, I just want to make sure that we're doing it correctly before we go out and try to sell it, but that also, okay,
Normal route.
that we can actually vote on it. Yeah. I think that we should see what we can get out there. Maybe it's just somebody's dream. Like, maybe somebody just wanted this water taxi so much.
If it's probably there.
Or the choo-choo train. I don't know, right? So
Do you want that to be a work section? work
I
session action item?
personally would like to, we can talk about it tonight. All right. We're doing good. We're ahead of schedule.
Some papers around here, so. All right, ready for my administrator's
We
report?
are, I woke up this morning and I was ready for
You're
this.
so excited.
I'm so
Yep.
excited. Let's go.
Well, happy new year, everybody. You know, reflecting on the past year, it's, you know, we've accomplished a lot over the last year and it's, you know, I look forward to the year ahead. You look at just all the completion of the Riverwalk, all the downtown improvements, you know, having the police station site, that project's has a home now. We're all full speed ahead on that. Some of the property transactions have happened and, you know, we're preparing for this next wave of really big infrastructure projects that are gonna 5 million gallon water reservoir and the miles of a new sewage piping, which is gonna open up a lot of capacity for development and can remove some of those add-on fees that is deterring some of the development. One of the biggest accomplishments of the year was transacting the portion of the mill site to Project Arcadia. That is a lot of work for a lot of people. Our legal team was stellar with that. And it was transacted on Christmas Eve about 2 o'clock or so, 2:30. So it was all hands on deck trying to get this thing done before the end of the year. So when I say sell the paper mill, it's 30 acres of the 204 acre mill property. So city's gonna retain all area along the channel, all up the area along Milton Creek and
The softball fields.
that's not definitely the softball fields. But so there's still that much more opportunity on the site. And part of the Arcadia sale is there is an option to purchase additional property for a future expansion in a couple of years, which is would be wonderful and employ a lot more people. You know, what transacting that property means is that we got some revenue for that. We're gonna get some jobs, we're gonna get our taxes, so properties can go back on the tax roll, so we start getting property tax and all the utility revenue that's associated with that as far as electrical and water and you know, the wastewater and things. But you know, when Cascades left, it costs about 1.3 million out of our budget. So that's kind of the magnitude of what's could come back real easily here.
How quickly will that happen? Will we realize that?
Well, the assessment would begin July 1.
Okay.
So that's good. And the opportunity is we still have that much more property. The areas along the creek will probably be riparian trails and connections for our community. The additional lots will someday be additional development. And, just a lot of opportunity there. I think back 2015 when we decided to invest in that property, to take that ownership. If we wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have those opportunities. Cascades being there just about paid off the note. Boise, half of it, half of going to city, half of going to Boise. We paid off the note, so we don't know free clear that obligation around that. So, tonight on the agenda, you've got appointing the budget officer, you've got the resolution establishing water sewer or adopting the plan for the resolution, water sewer and storm drainage charges. Smith voluntarily agreed to take this that one item off the agenda just due to budget concerns about. Yeah, it was rather than via drone. And it's what he was proposing to buy the drone with was some opioid money that comes to the city and has a very limited purpose. And we're gonna, rather than buy a thing, we're gonna try to find a way to put that into operations or a program that supplants a little bit of revenue.
Would you ever want to coordinate with the Columbia River Fire?
The drone's pretty neat. I mean, it's a tool that they can put on the building, and when they get a call, that they can deploy them with where they're, where the call is at, and they can get there and monitor it. And they go over to the island and they can be on the island with the drone.
Wow.
Responding and talking to, real time.
And does it record?
I guess it does.
Oh, boy, that is an interesting tool.
Yeah, so.
He doesn't have an answer to that, Russ.
Is that something that can be looked into?
With life, fire and safety, all using it, because they all could need it.
Yes, Jeff Pritchard at Scappoose has a very sophisticated drone that's on a loan program.
Okay.
Back and forth. I've actually, when we had a fire here over the last summer, down there, and he happened to show up and let me look at the drone screen, and just amazing how they have 2 drones, they're up, they can just keep going with the drones. And
He's got drones also, if you ever needed.
Yeah. Understand that as well.
Maybe in the future, we can do a drone firework, one demonstration, so we don't have any fires. Have you seen those?
Dropping bombs.
Oh my gosh, they're amazing.
Related to project funding, there's Water Day at the Capitol. Mohammed and I and Sharon to go down on February 2nd to meet with our legislators to talk about funding for our capital projects. Senator Merkley is going to be in town on January 16th. Mayor and I met with Gustavo, Senator's aide, to talk about our priorities and infrastructure needs and this pending process for obtaining funding through them.
We would very much like some grant funding.
Yeah, congressional spending. Yeah. Last meeting, I announced that CET, or it was already public by then, is in the state of dissolving. I've spent very significant amount of my day being a board member and caring deeply about economic development and community development in our community, and the programs that CET was doing as far as the small business support center, the Grow initiatives, supporting entrepreneurs, Keep It Local program with the shopping campaign they do every year that has just an amazing impact on our community as far as being local dollars. But working with the board, working with our community partners, just to try and good homes, the appropriate homes for these.
I have a question with that. Is there an opportunity to utilize Main Street to pick up any of these places? Because they're such a good community partner for us. Is that?
I was actually gonna propose that we bring this to an agenda item because I was talking with the city councilor from Scappoose and they are talking about what they're going to do as a council to address the needs. And I think that would be, we should follow suit with that to see where these programs are going and how they're gonna be housed and carried on. And what part we can play in that.
There's, I've been meeting with the city manager of Scappoose fairly frequently. We've been meeting with the port, with the BUD, there's, you know,
As a board member or as a city administrator of Salem?
both, yes. If it's someone who cares about this, you know, we've been part of it since the beginning. It's 20 years in the making, and I've been at the meetings at least for all my tenure here. It's a lot of work to let go, and a big piece of that was all the digital assets as far as the websites and things. And we don't want that to go dark because there's a years of work put into these things and data lists and things. I didn't talk about, you know, tourism having this called a DMO, destination marketing organization designation. If you don't have that designation, you can't get any money out of travel. Directly anyway. Still compete for grants and things.
Do you feel like that's something that you can bring to us on a council agenda item and we can have a discussion about what other cities might be doing that you're aware of and then what needs to still be done to make sure that these programs don't?
Yeah, and I feel certain that, you know, we're the biggest city and county seat, so a lot of these programs serve the whole county, but they also benefit us locally as well.
I have a question. It's probably a stupid question, but if there's no board at this point, right, there's gonna have to be like a consensus of where to move these digital assets and so forth. So how, I guess we don't have to need to talk about it now, but if you're talking to the city administrator of Scappoose and then you got the port, I mean, who is actually gonna be taking the reins of this to try to say, is this going to go to Main Street or is this gonna go somewhere else?
Well, and that's the thing is that each of us are like investors as well, right? Because each of us entities pay a portion into, you know, these programs. So I'm curious to see how that is, you know, going to be changing. And
So the designated person is the board chair. The board has empowered Tony Hyde, the chair, to be the steward of that.
So he will ultimately make the decision of where the digital assets and everything are. You have a good relationship with them.
And that's also our connection with Columbia Pacific Partnership, which is our federal economic development district, which I'm also a board member of. That group is a broader, you know, it's Columbia, Clatsop, Tillamook and Western Washington County. You know, some of those, it used to, before CET existed, most of those programs lived there, so there's, but it's a little too regional.
So
Is there a way that as we as a council can kind of bring this and wrap it up and bring it back to not what it was, but something better?
It'll be different.
All
Hopefully.
different. Well, I mean,
different doesn't mean bad.
no, it doesn't.
I think
So
they're trying to specialize it out, so you've got different, the city could take on the tourism part of it and different things like that, because I was in a meeting with John, with a group of people for this.
Okay. Well, and I'd like to specifically look at the budget, you know, because at some point we are paying our portion, you know, what's that going to look like? And what can we afford to do with maybe that portion we've been paying, so on and so forth, just having a discussion about what we can do, what we can offer.
So can we put this on the agenda?
We can put it, yes, we can put it on the agenda. We're plan is still kind of gelling, and what makes lowest hanging fruit with this, the kind of the four big components is the grow. That's $500,000 and we're in year 3 of that. And it was the grant was to the city, right? And the city that we sub-granted it to CET. So we just didn't approve that agreement last meeting. So, and I've been in communication with the grantors and they're acceptable with working with the city on it. There's also some technical systems money that had just awarded that can also come with that.
Something though with the grants that it has to go with a nonprofit.
There are some components, small business resource center. Piece of that
That's
is,
where I'm
is,
coming back to Main Street, like Main Street is not.
yes, and I have been in talking with Main Street as far as their role in this as well.
And they were started, Grow, if they were original, putting Grow together. Aaron was?
No. Aaron was the first executive director of Grow. There wasn't Main Street's a very focused thing.
Speaking of which, I don't think have an existing MOU with Main Street anymore. We probably should put that on the agenda to talk about too. At least from what I can see.
They have a new director and president now, so.
We probably should talk about it.
Yeah, it may have expired. I'm not sure if it has a termination date on it. I was looking at it not too long ago. Anyway, that's pretty all consuming.
My concern is, I think, and maybe that's what you're getting at, is even though this is still gelling, we're not moving in the direction to try to like.
Well, and I'd like to be a part of the
Yeah, I don't think we should.
solution. I would like to be a part of the, you know what I mean, like the, just making sure that we're part of the gelling. That'd be cool.
And that's all,
If you-
that's all I'm saying. I get it.
No, you
I
get
don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, that's what
That's-
I'm
I
saying.
want to be part of the problem.
It's moving so fast that and I've been, even at meetings, I'm proceeding just on the past practice that we support this organization and its components. And I realize that you're the
Yeah.
governing board to buy off on things. We've responded to the DEQ stormwater violation. I think we made a really strong case. Get a response back on. We should get.
Wait, is this different from the last report you gave? Did something else happen? Cause I thought that we basically resolved like 98% of it. Is this something new?
Yeah, no, it's the same one where the whole team went down to DEQ
Okay.
and basically plead our case. You know, the way they cost things and to find economic damages where we felt were pretty overpriced and.
Thank you for keeping this on your report though, so the things that are still hanging out there, it's helpful because we have so many things going on that it's still there and that we need to make sure it gets addressed.
I had budget season on my report here, but I think that's been pretty well covered, our challenges and just needing to get away from a model of relying on one-time revenues. We need that recurring revenue streams to be sustainable here. So we're not gonna have another mill to sell next year. Hopefully.
And we only have so much timber.
And the timber doesn't grow fast enough.
Be clear, the vote's not gonna cover this.
For sure. I've committed to the Parks Commission and we're working on some their idea to update the master plan, and they have the document we're gonna work through and I'm gonna help them out. With that. Next, we've been waiting for the Small Foster Lagoon report. They've hired Consor, which is the same one that did our reservoir siting study, the same consultant to do space needs analysis at the lagoon. Sorry for being repetitive, but that report has not been received yet. It was supposed to be imminent anytime, but we will need some time to receive that report and then digest it. Then we'll come to a report. We're targeting the 21st, but it may get kicked out to the 1st of February. The police station is moving along, a little bit of break with our consultants over the Christmas to New Year's. But Councilor Hubbard's part of that, going through a pretty rigorous value engineering exercise to try to align the expenditure cost of the project. You know, what we're finding is that there's a kind of a tipping point of inefficiency where if we make too many changes, it sets off this string of redesign and engineering costs and kind of that could have been just gone into construction. So, and where we're at is project costs, the funds available equal to the total budget, including the contingency. So it's not a really good place to go into a project that tight on a project. But if we can infuse some of our one-time money from the mill, that will give us a buffer
For just contingency.
for just contingency. And that will get us to going on the building. And there's a milestone coming up with a code change in March that would take a significant engineering of the design for some seismic requirements, but
Is there any reason whatsoever, as we sit here today, that we can see any potential issues or likelihood going to meet all the requirements by the March deadline, that we're going to be adversely affected by the code changes?
I would say only if we value engineering, the building structural changes that sets off a string of engineering. That's a risk, and
Well, they've got to get it to the point where we approve it, and it's got to go to the city to get their work done before it changes.
Right, so,
So,
once it's submitted, it's vested.
yeah, but we're not gonna wait until February 20th to submit this, right? I mean, like, it's gotta get done aggressively that we have this, because this could be severely impactful.
we're meeting tomorrow.
And we're meeting, we meet weekly. so.
Job, Russ.
Nice job, Counselor Hubbard. Nice job, John.
Yes, I don't have a jobs.
We got
Do something.
job over here.
We had a really good meeting with Romano earlier today. There's councils expressed to me just see the picture, right? And what it's gonna look like. And they, Romano was, they're a couple weeks away from having the building block kind of massing. So far, it's been economic studies and things of that nature. Counselor Hubbard, if you want to pipe in on here.
I was on that too this morning.
Job, Brad.
Busy you are.
I am a busy guy. Yeah, no, they're very good people to talk to, and they're very straightforward. And they come straightforward with about the money and the type of development they need to do, and they don't want us to want too much for the property. They want a nice in between. I told them that they should bring, they had a couple comps. And of this kind of scenario with waterfront is a really difficult comp, so John directed them to go wider, get more comps, because then we can all relate to that. That's what we need, rather than just one or something like that. So they're gonna do that. And, you know, they need to do that research for themselves too, because it's all got a price out, because they'll take this to their investors and sell it. Their investors bring the money in with a guaranteed return. So that's what they're on the hook for making it work. So they don't want to see a project fail or slow down. So,
That's what I like about this model.
yeah, and but on a side note, it was very interesting. I was talking to a guy in Washington, and he's pretty wealthy. And I just happened to say, well, we've got Romano Capital, you know, looking at this parcel. He'll go, oh, I've got investments for them. I go, really? Tell me about them. So it's sort of interesting to see the investor side of it and what they were telling me, and they were extremely happy with them. They were getting their payments. There was never any issues and all that sort of thing. So that was a good testimony of the operation.
So from what you're seeing, do you like the direction it's heading?
I do.
Okay.
Thanks. And they want to work with the city, but they're also going to tell us what works financially and what they can pull off. And they're never going to build anything that they can't sell or rent.
So I got the same feeling in the meeting that I was in. I mean, it's pretty nice to deal with somebody like that.
Yeah, they looked at the market, with the, Eco
The
Eco Northwest.
analysis with Eco Northwest.
They hired them to do a study also, and you know, everything points to housing right now because retail is dead in this town, and if they can bring in housing, then they can get the ball rolling. And as far as hotel or something like that, that's down the road. That's, you know, so they understand the market, and they've been doing this other places, so it's really positive, and so hand it over to them.
We have any easy when they may be, we don't want them to present to the council before they're ready, because obviously we want to put the best information forward to the citizens, because they're going to be highly interested as well. So do we have any?
Your architect's working on the building massing, so you can get the general site of where the buildings are, you know, view corridors, access, parking. But it's not all the colorized
Right.
renderings of things like that.
Nice, it's a good start.
2 to 3 weeks for the massing study, so. But we have regular meetings, we're working on the letter of intent to. Sand Island Campground has been I've been trying to keep it on the front burner, but it's really challenging. I have comments from all the departments that touch the island, and they're over to Ashley and with my own putting something together and looking at it. Direction I see is that the city wants to get the operator back into compliance and not take over. We don't want to take over the island and be managing the island again, so. Working towards that goal. And then, when the lease was brand new, we didn't know things we don't now. So having 5 years of experience in running this, so. That's it.
Thank you, John. All right, so, following the conclusion of this council work session, we're gonna be going to an executive session. It's gonna be under labor negotiations under ORS 1926602D, real property transactions under ORS 1926602E. Exempt records, confidential attorney-client privilege memo under OS 1926602F, excuse me, and consult with counsel potential litigation under ORS 1926602H. Representatives of the news media, staff, and other persons as approved shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the council chambers. With that, this meeting is adjourned.